Hey YouTube, I just want to come on here and make a quick video a little bit about location. Location is really important for plants, whether indoor or outdoor. You have to think about your lighting, temperature, if you have anything obstructing anything to stop certain types of light coming in, because you want to know what type of plants that you can keep in your space. So it's very important that if you get a plant, that you don't just set the plant where you want to set it. Don't just put the plant where you want to put it. Put the plant in a place that it likes to be. So what I mean when I say that is, don't go out to the store and buy a plant, a high-light plant, and put it in a shady, low-light room just because you think it looks good there. Your plant will probably decline over time, and you'll be wondering what's wrong with it, thinking that you're not a good plant parent because you have it in the wrong spot. It's very important that you know the sun exposure that you're getting from each window in each room, because that will help you determine what plants you can keep in what area in your house and even outside. You need to know the direction, because your highlight plants, most of the time your highlight plants are going to go to the south or to the west. Your low light plants will go to the east and the north. Your very low light plants go to the north. East will get morning sun, so that just means for a little while, a couple hours, and then it's going to move on. Your highlight, your south facing areas are going to get most of the sun all throughout the day, unless you have a shade like a tree or a building or something blocking your window, cutting down the light. You'll have to worry about that. West, basically the same thing, but you don't get sun on the west until the evening. That's your evening sun before it goes down. And then the north, you'll get a little sun in the morning as well, like the east, but it's very low light in the north. So you have to kind of think about what you're doing and where you're putting things at. It's kind of a calculated thing. I will put a plant somewhere where I think that it's a good spot, and most of the time I do pretty good. But you have to keep an eye on your plants and make sure that you want to check on your plants daily. You know, I get up and I walk around and I look at my plants daily, inside and out, because I want to check and see how they're doing, make sure they're not having any problems, because if you let your plants go for days and days, they might have pests or anything going on. Might be getting too much sun, burning up, and you want to make sure that you have that right before you go off and leave something and not be aware of what's going on with it. If you catch it early, you can correct it early. If you leave it too long, you can have some serious problems, not paying attention, and could turn into something that you can't correct and you lose your plant. Now, for those of you that buy expensive plants, I know you don't want that to happen. I don't even buy expensive plants, and I don't want that to happen to mine. So I try to do everything I can. If you put a plant somewhere and you notice that it doesn't look good after a certain amount of time, you might need to move it and place it somewhere else. It may need more light, it may need less. You just kind of have to keep your eye on it. And it's kind of an experimental thing or whatever when you first get a plant and you don't really know a whole lot about it, and maybe not even understand lighting for plants, because lighting to us is different than it is to plants. So you want to think about your lighting as far as direct sun, indirect sun, low light, medium light. You want to think about all of those, because each plant that you get falls in one of those categories. And knowing the light in your home and in your space will help you a lot from having so much turmoil with your plants. I want to tell you that if you have bright colored plants, like variegated plants with white or pink or reds or whatever colors they are, the brighter the plant, if it's white, the more sun it probably needs. The greener the plant, the less sun it can probably take. Now, you're going to get some very vague instructions with your plant most of the time, and it will tell you very little about how to water, what lighting, and you just kind of experiment until you figure out what works for your environment. So if you see a plant that's turning brown, it's probably getting burned, that's sunburn, or it could be not enough water. Yellow leaves are usually too much water, you're overwatering. So you want to keep an eye out, and you also want to keep an eye out, for your pests and things too, because those can kind of make your plants do the same things, and you might think it's one of those issues, and it could be bugs eating it. Which I'll get into another time. That's something else. But I just wanted to make sure that you understand the importance of location for your plants, because it makes all the difference in a struggling plant or a thriving plant. So we want to make sure that we're being mindful. Anything that is hot and you're getting direct sun on you and it feels hot like you're burning, your plant's burning too. Little thin leaf plants burn way easier than a thick succulent type of plant with a lot of water in it. Just want to kind of learn your plants and be aware of what you're doing and what you're getting yourself into before you even bring the plant home. A lot of times I sit in the store and I find a plant that I like, and I might not even be familiar with it, but I'm going to Google. I want to know what type of light it needs, what kind of watering it needs. Does it like my tap water? Does it want distilled water? Because you got some diva plants. So you kind of want to make sure that you got the basics down before you get in the house. A lot of times plants will tell you the lowest tolerance of light that they will take, like a Sansevieria, mother-in-law's tongue. They usually are classified as a low light plant, but really that plant can handle more light. So if you don't have a low light spot, and it's not a direct sun spot, because you don't normally want to put anything in direct sun except for maybe your cacti. You can put them in sun. Your succulents, they like sun. But most of your plants and house plants like just bright indirect light, which means no harsh, hot sun just cooking them. Okay? So I think you just want to take care to make sure that you're not doing too much. I would start off with the lower light area before you go into higher light. When you bring a plant home, you kind of want to acclimate it to the space that you're bringing it into, because it's been in the store, it's been in whatever area it's been in, it's also traveled from wherever it's come from to get to the store. So when you move it and take it home, it's going to need something, and you just want to make sure that you have the right thing. You also want to start with a healthy plant. So, all of those things kind of contribute to what kind of success you will have raising your plants. I'm trying to think, is there anything else I want to tell you about location? Because that's the first thing that I think of when I buy a plant, is where am I going to put it? Do I have space to put it in the spot I'm thinking of, and does it have the correct lighting? Like I said, if you don't have the right lighting, it's always okay to move it, but you at least want to give it a fair chance. Don't get things that you know that you don't have the conditions for, because you're going to be depressed. You're going to kill your plant, or it's going to start declining, and you're going to think something is really wrong with it, and it's going to look bad, and you're not going to be happy. So I think for right now, that's all I want to say about location. But I just wanted to make sure that I came on and kind of gave you a little briefing on that. I'm sure I'll probably talk about it later depending on what plants I'm talking about. But I just want to make sure that you understand that your location where you're putting a plant, you cannot put a plant in no light. If you don't like to open your blinds, you don't want to let some light in, you're probably not going to be able to keep too many plants. There's very few plants that can live with those types of low light conditions. The only ones that I can think of are probably mother-in-law's tongue and the ZZ plant. Those are probably the easiest to keep in the low light areas of your home without seeing a fast decline. So I think for now I've said what I need to say about the location, and I think that I will come back later and we'll talk about something else, and probably location still. It will probably still come up. It will probably always come up because it's one of the basics that you have to think about when you bring something home and when you're learning your plants and learning to care for whatever plants that you bring into your home. So with that, I think I'm going to let you guys go. I don't want to keep you too long. And I'll come back and we'll talk about plants some other time. Thank you for visiting Natural Queen TV. You guys have a good day. Bye, YouTube.